I'm LK Robertson, and I'm glad to have you here. Look, I'm super excited today. I have my brother with me. He's an amazing guy. I'm telling you, I'm honored to be able to have the opportunity to speak with him on today. And we're going to get into this interview because I'm ready to hear some great things. Nashawn Nix, how are you today, sir?
All is well, Chief. All is well. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir.
I'm excited about this opportunity to be able to share what's going on in our city and some things that God has placed in my heart.
Awesome, awesome. Now, I know a lot of you have seen him around the city. He does a lot of great things in our community. And so a lot of people may have questions like, you know, who is this Nashawn Nix? So tell us a little bit about who is Nashawn Nix?
All right. Well, first and foremost, I love God. I love people. I'm a father. I'm a husband. And I'm a community advocate. Jesus talks about whatever you've done to the least of these, you've done to me. And I love the people of Jacksonville. I love our city. And I'm the CEO of the First Coast Leadership Foundation, located here in Jacksonville in what we consider the urban core, Health Zone 1 and City Council District 7. Prior to taking on that position, I did run for public office, and I've also pastored in some of our most at-risk communities, going from Durkeeville off of Myrtle, and Washington Heights, which is now Callaway Cove, off of Moncrief and Cleveland Road, where they intersect, and just really looking at ways to make our city better, and some of our most underserved communities, you know, and my current role, I look at it as a great opportunity to work at a greater capacity. Gotcha,
gotcha. Awesome. You mentioned a nonprofit, and we're going to get into that in a moment. But tell me a little bit about like your passion. I know you're passionate. We can tell that you're passionate. And so my question is really, what's the core of that passion? What makes you drive in that vein so hard? Because you go hard, man.
Yes. All right. And I had to kind of figure out how to identify that, if that makes sense.
Right.
Because you always want to go back to your roots. You always want to go back to the roots, and then you look at the fruit based on the root. And I'm gonna start with my mom. My mom was a beautiful black woman. She transitioned at the beginning of this year. My mom struggled with substance abuse. Wow. So, and anybody that's ever had a parent or a guardian with substance abuse, you know, they're home one day and then they're gone for 2. Wow. They're home one day, they're gone for 3. Right. And looking at those type of emotions as a child, I don't ever want my children or any other child to have those type of experiences. Wow. My biological father, one of the most brilliant men I ever knew, he spent a lot of time in my youth in Attica, which is a prison in upstate New York. And so when you're looking at your roots, the most brilliant person I ever met was my father, who transitioned my freshman year of college at Savannah State years ago. You know, looking at his brilliance and incarceration, and then looking at my mom's beauty and her addiction, it's like, this is not an anomaly.
Wow.
I know too many other people who had similar upbringings.
Right.
And why is this perpetuated, and who's advocating for us? And who's willing to stay in the pocket long enough for us to be able to progress as a people, as a community? And so until, and I'm going to get into this later on pertaining to our organization, until our battlegrounds become playgrounds, then the work is not done.
Right.
You know.
And one thing I know about you is that you do have a drive, and you know, I've never really had an opportunity to talk to you until now to know, you know, what your passion, you know, the why behind what you do, because everybody has a why.
Yes.
You know, and so, man, that's a powerful why, definitely. Tell me a little bit about your organization. You have an opportunity to head a nonprofit in the city, so tell us the name of it, and you know, what's the purpose and vision and mission.
Yes, I want to give a quick shameless plug. Cities, Playgrounds, or Battlegrounds, written by the president of the Leadership Foundations, Dave Hillis. And when you look at the First Coast Leadership Foundation, is one of close to 50. They're all designated to a specific city, and we're in close to 13 different countries around the world. And what they do is help revitalize urban communities by attaching leaders, attaching services and programs on a collaboration perspective to help make that city better, to make that city vibrant. And our mission is changing our city streets from battlegrounds to playgrounds, and our vision is transforming lives by connecting leaders. And that's really what it's all about. It's about helping folks tap into their potential and fulfilling their potential, where a church may not be able to do that, you know, on a Wednesday night service or a Sunday morning service. We're a Christian nonprofit working with the interfaith community, saying, listen, we're here for you. How can we collaborate to tackle our city's challenges, whether they be civic, whether they be housing, mental health, or holistic challenges. Our goal is to help our community thrive.
Wow. Can you tell us a little bit more specific information about some of the programs that you guys offer that will assist in the community?
Well, okay, great question. So when you look at programs and services, we help push, well, number one, we help register over 100,000 voters in the state of Florida.
Wow, wow, that's
so
awesome.
And when you look at some of our most underserved communities, it's because they're underrepresented.
Right.
Okay. And that's from state and local elections to help create that sense of urgency and necessity, because your community will continue to look like it does until you have proper representation and educating them. Another thing with Jacksonville is we have a high rate of returning citizens. Returning citizens are our people who have paid their debt to society. They've already done the time for their crimes, and now they're coming back, and we want their rights restored. You know, they shouldn't be treated like second-class citizens. They have the same rights and privileges of any other citizen. So we want to make sure that they're participating in this process as well. So we help register over 100,000 voters. We help mobilize over 300,000 to get out and vote in our last presidential election. So that's one area. Another area is community development. Community development, we have joint initiatives with Hands and Feet. Hands and Feet is on the west side of Jacksonville. Okay. And they specialize in working with people pertaining to rehab. Okay. Our challenge in the urban core is similar to their challenges on the west side of Jacksonville. But with this joint initiative, when somebody says that they want to be clean from any form of substance, whether it's alcohol or opioids, the goal is to get them help or treatment within 24 hours. Wow. And with that joint initiative, they already have those inroads to where if they're male or female, they have housing set up, and they're able to get them housing and treatment, so that way that they can be cleaned in an expedited fashion. That's awesome. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about is our youth services pertaining to our M2T, which is Mentoring to Thrive. Okay. We received a grant from our corporate office of Leadership Foundations through OJJDP, which is the Office of Juvenile Justice, Department of Prevention, to help intersect our youth before they get caught up on drugs or they're dealing with high trauma households, to where they get a mentor that they meet with at least once a week, 52 weeks throughout the year. So this is trying to create long-term improvements, long-term impacts that will ultimately have a ripple effect throughout our city. Wow,
that's awesome, man. You know, you've done a whole lot in the community. I've watched you from afar. Tell us a little bit about some of the things that you've done personally as a community activist.
All right. Well, I think I'm pretty well known at City Council because public comment is one area where you can make your voice heard, and it's recorded, meaning that, you know, raising issues pertaining to people taking out east, basically you have sidewalks for streets. but literally less than 5 miles from the east side is TIAA Bank Field, which is where the Jaguars play.
Right.
And if we can get the stadium funding and services, why not get the communities the funding and services? So that way, inside of the stadium and outside of the stadium match. It doesn't look like a dichotomy, meaning that you got something that's vibrant and booming, and then you got folks who are struggling when we can create our own opportunities right here.
Right.
You know, and for those who know me, I'm also known as Coach Nitro. I teach youth martial arts and self-defense.
Right.
And we call it SEAL Team. SEAL Team is an acronym for social, emotional, and academic learning. Because Bishop James Brandt, he challenged me. He said, Nix, these kids see you winning, but we need somebody to teach them how to lose.
Wow, that's good.
And like I said, when you look at that prefrontal cortex, which is basically your brain telling you to slow down, to think this through. A lot of our young black males, to be specific, when they look at their emotions, it's either fight or flight. You understand? And every situation doesn't require fight or flight. It just takes time for you to communicate your words and communicate your message. So we create opportunities for them to express their emotions, their feelings, and we've had a successful model, over 13 different schools, public, private, and charter, over 500 youth that we've been able to make contact with in the city of Jacksonville.
That's good.
And we're steady bringing in collaborators. We're working with Inspire Learning Center, which specializes in literacy in language. And LK, this is why this is important. Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu, he was talking about this before we were born. We're the oldest millennials. All right. So back in the 70s, he was doing research saying, hold up, this isn't public school to private prison pipeline. This is literacy to prison. Meaning that let's teach them critical, analytical thinking. Let's teach them comprehension. Let's teach them how to read to where they're able to be successful. And so, like I said, we're giving our children a fighting chance at success. We're also partnering with Nerdy Enterprise LLC, and what they specialize is in STEAM, which is science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. So our goal is to give our youth in our urban communities every opportunity to get a competitive advantage. And like I said, I'm in the schools. I talk to our principals throughout the city to hear their needs, their pain points, to see how we can help alleviate some of those pain points. And other nonprofits as well. We work with the Boys and Girls Club, communities and schools to see, all right, what do you need? How can we make it happen? How can we collaborate? And that's what it's about. A lot of times people say, well, Nix, I didn't even know all this was happening. And I'm not trying to hold this against them, but if you're not looking for it, you'll never find it. And I'm looking for leaders that are willing to collaborate to help us in those underserved areas. So that way everybody has an opportunity to be successful.
Awesome. Are there any current initiatives that the foundation currently has?
Yes. With the M2T, with the Mentoring to Thrive, we currently have funding to impact 10 families. So we are seeking donors or matches to help us take it from 10 families to 100 families. All right, and you're probably saying, well, what do you mean by that when you say families? The way that we plug it in is that you have children. But if all we focus on is a child, that child has to go back home. If that parent isn't working, or if they're underemployed, meaning that they're working but they're not getting paid or compensated based on their skill level or skill set, then it becomes kind of counterproductive to build that child up with hope, but then that parent is still struggling. So we do what you call wraparound services, so where we're saying 10 families and not just 10 children. And building that database and network from employers that we work with through our job fairs, as well as through our empowerment men's conferences, plugging them into professionals pertaining to prevention.
Right.
We got an initiative called Healthy Punch. Anybody knows me, I love martial arts. So PUNCH is an acronym for Prevention Under Nutritional Clinical Health.
Wow.
So we're working with Pareto Clinic and Dr. Kenyatta Lee. He's at the Shell Sweet Center at Waters College. And trying to make sure that we're highlighting professions in the community, in our urban core, to make sure that they're aware that, listen, you don't have to keep fighting diabetes if you can prevent it.
Right.
You know, hypertension, high cholesterol. Like, there's certain things that can be done from routine checkups and follow-ups and immunizations,
Right.
making sure that our children are getting all the services that they need at an early age, and educating their parents as well.
Gotcha. Now, we know that there are multiple foundations in the city. What makes this foundation stand out?
Great question. I want to be known as the king of collaboration.
That's good. I like that.
Like in the church world, sometimes it's my four and no more, and we have to break that.
Right, right,
We have to break that.
right.
And with that being said, we need what you have to offer. We need the best of everybody at that table.
Right.
So that way we can make a huge impact in our city for the good. And that's really what it's about. We don't have any competition.
Right.
We don't have any competitors. All we have is collaboration. And if you're already doing a great work, how can we take it to a greater capacity?
Right.
So that's our mantra, that's our mindset, is how can we work together for the greater good of our city?
Right. How, you know, that's huge, bringing everyone together. So my next question is, you know, how do you do that as a foundation? How do you connect all the pieces, you know, to make, you know, the mission or the vision work? You know, how do you get that across to everyone, to get everybody on one page?
All right, and that's another great question. All right, so for example, when you say on one page, I'd rather say one book.
I like that too.
because if you say one page, it may be
Right.
challenging, because once again, for folks who are great at professional development pertaining to work experience and professional development pertaining to earned income, they may not also be the best as far as credit repair.
Right, right.
So we need the credit repair to be an expert in your lane.
Right.
So that's page 5. But before we can get to page 5, we got to make sure you're right. So we got to
Right.
we got to make sure that your soul, your spiritual needs are being met, and at the same time your basic needs are being met. So that way we can get you to the best self. So we want to plug you into a mentor.
That's
You
good.
don't need a mentor? Then you need to be mentoring.
Right.
So therefore, like I said, so before we get the credit, there's certain things that we have to do before we get there. So it's one book, and then basically for each page, we're pulling in and we're reaching out to subject matter experts. We're a military town, and for any of our viewers who are retired military, and you use the military as your way out, we need your help, because you already have the discipline. You already know that hard work pays off, and you see the fruit of your labor, and we need you to come be a part of what we're doing, so that way we can work to a greater capacity. Like I said, so it is strategy, and it is collaboration, and getting everybody on the same page, that is a challenge, but getting everybody in the same book is a whole lot easier.
I like that. Awesome, awesome. Well, you mentioned, you know, you need help, and you mentioned military and different things of that nature. What do we have to do if a person wants to connect? What do we have to do to get involved, or, you know, what's the process?
All right. Number one, please do your research. Leadership Foundation has been around over 50 years. In Jacksonville, we've been here since 2013. We have done a relaunch. We're not necessarily a charity-based nonprofit. The way that we have rebranded is more of a social capital enterprise. And with that being said, I want you to do your research. I want you to visit our website, which is fclfjax.org. That's fclfjax.org. untitled.jax.org, and basically put in an interest form, and at the same time sign up to be a mentor, become a partner. And like I said, and partnership is the key. It's all about partnership,
right.
Meaning that you can hold us accountable, but at the same time we can hold you accountable. It's shared accountability. Gotcha. And all that is outlined on our website for anyone that wants to know about our history, our financials, our stages of impact and outcomes. You can see all that online, fclfjax.org. And I want to give them a tour, by the way. Right. I need you to come visit us, and that's 2049 North Pearl Street. That's 2049 North Pearl Street. Come visit the First Coast Leadership Foundation. Let me show you the potential of what we can do, and I also want to show you what we're already doing. We got 8,600 square feet of commercial real estate, and we want folks to use our business incubator.
Wow.
The way I see it, LK, is I want you to go work your 9 to 5, and then I want you to come to us to work your 5 to 9. You understand what I'm saying?
Wow.
Jesus was a carpenter. He preached, and then he did work.
Right.
You know what I mean? The Apostle Paul was a tent maker. He preached, and then he did work. So, and like I said, I believe there's an EIN in everybody.
Right. Yes.
Which is a employee identification number. And like I said, so that when times like this hit, or pandemics like this hit, and the company that you're working for, they're hard pressed, you got something that you can lean on because you've been working your 5 to 9.
Right, right.
You know, we got a wonderful conference room that's open to the community. And we also have shared working community space. We have a wellness and fitness center area. I mean, like I said, it's a beautiful facility. I want to give them a tour. I want to personally give them a tour. I want them to see what we're doing. I want them to meet the community, and I want them to be a part of what we're doing, because I say it like this: Jacksonville is our Jerusalem.
Yes, yes. What are the hours of operation?
9 to 5, Monday through Friday.
Okay, 9 to 5. Awesome. Do you guys have any opportunities for community service?
Yes, for volunteering, they can sign up to be a volunteer. They can sign up to be a mentor. We're always looking to grow our board, or if they want to be a part of our advisory council because they got a certain amount of subject matter expertise. We are open.
Okay.
We are open, and like I said, when you start looking at shared accountability, you don't necessarily have to live in Jacksonville to partner with us.
Right.
We're all in this together. So, but the impacts immediately hit our streets. It immediately hits our youth, our adults, and then charity starts at home, and then it's spread abroad.
Right, right. For those who may be watching, that's kind of on the edge of, man, this sounds interesting. I may be interested, but they're on the edge. What would you say to that person that's trying to make that decision to say, I want to get involved, but I'm just not sure? What would you say to give them that boost that they need?
All right. Okay. I'm going to take you back down memory lane again. In 5th grade, I couldn't read.
Wow.
My 5th grade teacher, Miss Tona Penland, called a parent-teacher conference for me and my mother to let her know that if she passed me, she would be doing me a disservice.
Wow.
Okay, I was crying. I mean, tears rolling everywhere. And what saved me was I thought about what Miss Tona Penland told me. I said, Miss Penland, there's got to be another way. There's got to be another way. Because you said, where there's a will, there's a way.
Right.
Miss Penland said, all right. She tutored me in reading every day after school to help me get my reading to where it was able to compete with other 5th graders, to where I was able to be promoted to 6th grade.
Wow.
If you're on the fence, I understand that. But I'm glad that Miss Penland said, listen, I got to go out of my comfort zone.
Right.
The school doesn't pay me for this, but I'm willing to invest in the future generation. And I thank her for believing in me and now I'm able to make an impact in other youth.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's pretty much my story. For anyone who is like, okay, what do I do? Hey, just inquire. And like I said, come on in, take a tour, and we'll love to have you.
Awesome, Nashawn. It's been a pleasure today, sir.
And thank you for this opportunity.
Yes, sir.